Hi everyone, and welcome to Daily Revelations. This is a weekly Bible study where we go through one book of the Bible at a time. And right now we are in the book of James. And this week specifically, we're focusing on James 2. And so if you've caught us for the first time, just know that we're on day 4 of our study, a 7-day study, but 5 days that I do the videos and the podcast. So what we focus on, we do a different precept method going through the same chapter every day just to ask God, what do you have to share with me? And today the precept method is looking at the who, what, when, where, why, and how of the chapter, which it helps you slow down. I've just talked about this before, and focus on some things that you might miss in your general reading. And I want to really encourage you to do this. Yes, you can listen to me. I want to set it up like, you can be spoon-fed my faith, and I can share it with you, which I love to do. But you can get more if you do it yourself. So it's more sustaining, and that's what we're really going to talk about today, is this sustaining fueling of your faith. And it requires a bit of work, of us realizing we need to be plugged into God, and that we need to be fueled, and not on the things of this world that we tend to go to instead. And I tell you, God's been working on me in this area, since my cancer diagnosis, and taking out everything in my life that I've found joy in and that I used to fuel my life on. Cheese, can't have that anymore. My workout, gone for now. I tell you, it's been a refining process, and I just want to be real with you. I got out of the shower last night and I was just in tears, because it is so hard to just keep going when the good news that you get just isn't enough, and that you just have to rely on what God is giving you to fuel you. And that's really why, when I looked at the who, what, when, where, and why, and how of this chapter, the what really popped out at me. Now, James in chapter 2 talks about 2 different whats. He talks about mercy at work, and he talks about faith at work. And how that, and I love that last line, for as the body without the spirit is dead, so faith without works is dead. I don't want my faith to be dead, but unfortunately, if I'm fueling it with things that are temporarily bringing me joy, it kind of is. You have to have the right fuel to get the right output, and the right sustaining output of faith. Because otherwise, it's not faith. I'm leaning on the things of this world, and it's not hard. Faith is hard. It requires you to step out and do things that don't make sense. It requires you to say, I trust you, God, and I don't have anything in me, but I'm just trusting that you have enough for me to get me by. But another verse that I came by this morning was Psalm 50. Morning, Daria. Nice to see you, or to have you here. It's David went through so many trials in his life, and we see through his life in the Old Testament faith at work. And what better person to speak at how do we do that? And so in Psalm 50, verses 10 and 12, it says this: create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a steadfast spirit within me. Restore to me the joy of your salvation, and sustain me with a willing heart. And really, that's what James is talking about. He's talking about God weeds out the things that we can cling to in this world that will bring us temporary joy, because his fueling of our faith is more sustaining. But we need room in our battery to be able to get that. And we need that renewed on a regular basis. And I even wrote myself a note that the harder that the faith works get, and they increase of needing faith, the more I need to plug in. I'm realizing that my hour Bible study in the morning recently isn't enough for me because it's been hard, and I have to do checks during the middle of the day and build them into my planner and say, time out, you need to just refuel. And that's hard when you have a busy life. But otherwise, you get to the point where I got last night, and just feeling so defeated, and that's the reality of it. So, but then, where does that joy come from? Well, the fueling and the real joy comes from God's salvation. He has it already figured out. He has it done. So that's where the joy needs to come from. That's where the fuel needs to come from for faith to work. And then finally, sustaining. But it requires a willing spirit to walk that out. So yeah, it's not easy. But if we fuel our faith, we will have the faith that James talks about in chapter 2. And that's what it's all about. It's not all about me being excited about all the things that are happening today, and which is exciting. My daughter's getting her learner's permit. Our pool is being dug today. I'm getting my hair done. But those things, thanks, Daria. I needed to hear it today too. Those things don't bring me joy anymore. I mean, yes, they're wonderful, but they don't sustain me. And that is one lesson God has been teaching me through this process of my breast cancer fight, is that joy really comes from Him. And that sustaining joy that fuels my faith can only come from Him. And the things of this world are fleeting, and they just don't fuel what we need. So I hope that's encouragement to you. I'm glad it was an encouragement to you, Daria. And remember, you can join me live right here on YouTube every morning. I don't always post at the same time, but pretty much. Anyways, so I will see you again tomorrow as we wrap up James 2. And yeah, so thanks for joining me right here on Daily Revelations. Bye, everybody.